Something funny happened to me with ChatGPT that I wanted to share here. So it started with me trying to help my dad create a slide in a slideshow about, he was making a presentation about the US expansion to the West in the 19th century. And and I wanted to help him and also wanted to just show him how great ChatGPT was with the new image generation ability, which everyone seems to have been using lately. So I went to ChatGPT 4.0, and this is late March, last week of March 2025. And I asked for a slideshow slide about the US expansion to the West in the 19th century. As you can see here, the first response was just text, and ChatGPT just went over the main points. Like, honestly, I didn't really care about the decisions it made here. And so I really wanted to see what it could do with the visuals. So this was the first slide that I got. And you can see here, there's a lot going on, a lot of text, which I was really impressed with because I've been using image generation tools for a very, very long time, using all kinds, Midjourney, Ideogram, Flux, and Dolly through ChatGPT. And they all have a problem with text, especially the more text you have in an image, the more challenging it becomes for the AI. So this one was actually like quite impressive. It's not free of errors, as you can see here. The Transcontinental Railroad apparently happened in the ninth century sometime, but overall it's actually quite good. But I think by now, I hope you probably noticed the main issue. And the main issue here is this map, right? Now, this map has an arrow which apparently goes from west to east, whereas obviously the arrow that we need should be going from east to west. And so this isn't working. So I asked ChatGPT whether it noticed what was wrong with the slide. And it said, yeah, indigenous people are shown in a stereotypical way, and the map's a bit off. Territories look vague, and the red arrow oversimplifies the routes. Obviously, those aren't the problems, right? And the indigenous people, there's no image here of any indigenous people, so that is like complete hallucination. I actually think the territories, like the map itself, looked okay to me, except for the colors. The colors here are obviously meaningless, like the shades here of orange, yellow, green, I guess, and red, they're just completely meaningless. But the outline, it's not too bad. And but the problem is not with the routes, it with the arrow, and it completely missed that. And so I asked, are we looking at the same image? There are no indigenous people here. There's a different problem with the arrow. And once I sort of pointed it in the direction of the arrow, that's when it says, fair, you're right. And the issue is with the red arrow pointing east to west, but it's drawn in the opposite direction, um, west to east, totally backwards for westward expansion. Want me to fix it? So that was impressive. I said, okay, fix it for me. And this is the next image. And as you can see, again, like nothing else has changed, but the arrow is now moved. I guess now the expansion is from somewhere in Mexico into, I don't know where, the South Tennessee over there is being invaded or something. So not a good one, right? And I said, sorry, the arrow is still in the wrong direction. I wonder why. I was wondering if maybe it was having to deal with too much text, and maybe all the text was taking up some of the attention here somehow. And so I said, okay, give me, and it suggested, it said, want me to simplify it with a clean US map with a big, obvious arrow pointing east to west and minimal distractions. And I said, okay, let's try that. And this is what I got. So, image created again, we have the arrow going from west to east. And I was like, darling, what do you think about the result? And it said, much better. Finally got that arrow heading in the right way. Clean, clear, no distractions. I just maybe thicken the arrow or add a label. But I said, and I showed it. That's when I copied this image, and I pasted the image itself, and I said, really? And it says, okay, yeah, that arrow is basically on a bender. It starts in the west, curves eastward again. It's like expansions via boomerang. Want me to generate one that goes cleanly left to right, straight across the middle, no drama, just direction. I said, okay, let's try. Look at it now. So now there's no curve, and it's a very simple arrow, but we still have the same issue, right? And I said, well, let's just try an arrow. Because at this point, I was like, maybe the problem is with um, with the arrow. Maybe for some reason, ChatGPT can't create an arrow from right to left. Maybe, and I know that it generates the images now, it sort of begins them from the top to the bottom. Maybe something similar is happening in the direction of right to left. And so we tried just an arrow, and you can see just an arrow works just fine. So it can actually create an arrow that goes from the right to the left. And I said, okay, so now let's put this arrow on a map of the US and look at that. So we got the arrow again in the wrong direction. Um, for some reason, ChatGPT is unable, or at least in this conversation, was unable to create a map of the US going from with an arrow going from the east, pointing from the east to the west. Just wouldn't happen. So yeah, I just said, I gave up at this point. I said maybe we should change the history books, and at least it still has a sense of humor. And said clearly, turns out America expanded the wrong way this whole time. Total plot twist. And just to make sure that it wasn't an issue with that particular conversation, I also tried again in a new conversation, totally fresh, just with a very simple prompt. um, a map of the US with an arrow showing the expansion westwards. Again, we're going west to east, and I tried again. Sorry, I tried with a different, yeah. And again, we have an image of the US. This is my prompt, an image of the US with an arrow showing expansion westwards. Same issue. And I even tried Sora. So Sora has the same model essentially, but without being so chatty. So here, same issue again. I asked for a map of the US with an arrow showing the expansion westwards in the 19th century. I get the arrow always in the wrong direction, which is kind of strange. Just to give you some more sort of context with different models, I also use Ideogram and I use Midjourney. So Midjourney just didn't get any arrow. I asked for a map of the US with an arrow, same prompt for all of them. And this is what I got here. I got four versions of a map of the US, I guess, in the 19th century, or at least looking old, and no arrow whatsoever. Ideogram, however, just created a map. It tried adding some text here, obviously not very successfully, and also has this very strange kind of coloring, which is totally meaningless in this context. But look at that arrow. So I guess no, it's not even from St. Louis heading west. It's just an arrow with 2 points, two directions in the wrong place. Again, just generally, I guess this is sort of like from the St. Louis area, but why going in both directions? And this one is totally like, and it's like it always. And here again, we have, I'm not even sure what this tail here means, if it's like going in both direction or if it's some kind of missile going from California all the way here to, um, this should be, um, I guess it's Illinois, right? So, but I'm not sure what these lakes are over here. So anyway, just and the text is all wrong altogether. So in terms of the map, I would say that ChatGPT definitely had the best results, but none of them were good. And the like it did the text, I think in the best way, had the best map of the US, but under no circumstances I could get it to have the arrow point in the right direction. I thought that was interesting.